Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcast. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. Get some weed and now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. 'Tis I, Colton Robertson, and this is the Bad Batch, bitches. It's your favorite, most effective group of podcasters. Well, more deviant than defective. I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Weather! The most effective right here. What a do, boys.
Far and away the most effective.
No
argument. No one's going to argue with that.
Not even close. Yep.
Far and away the most effective and arguably the most deviant.
Two words I like.
Two words you like. We are also joined by Miles Buttress. What's up?
Not much, man. Getting on 9 months. We're just continuing to push through.
Doing this together.
Pregnancy vibes.
We've been at
we're about to give birth to our podcast baby.
Pregnancy vibes, I'm saying.
We are giving birth to our podcast baby at 9 months here. Like, we've been at it for a minute.
Sheesh. Deserve a sheesh, boy.
We are also joined by KBZ Kyler Barnett. What's up, homie?
Nothing much. I'm ready. I'm happy to be here.
If you would be on the patreon.com/CoroBloom, you would know that we've got 45 minutes of extra content at the beginning of this episode and an untapped potential of minutes after the episode, which will include a very, very special info drop, which you will have already heard a preview of at the beginning of this episode. So I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that we are ready to dive in to the Bad Batch episode number 4, Cornered. Let me hear your thoughts on this, Joe. How was it?
So, as just a standalone episode, I would say it's kind of meh, because they were going to go to a place, turns out they have to stop early, and then nothing really happened, they're off, and they're going to the same place that they start at the beginning of the episode.
I get you.
But, at the same time, in the grand scheme of things, as this is obviously just a part of the series of episodes, you know, it's a good episode to introduce Fennec Shan into the series, get her for the first time, which was great to see. But really, other than that, I mean, there's not really much else that happened. You know, it's just kind of like a long chase scene at the end of the day. But
as soon as I watched this, I thought to myself, "Fuck, this feels like Star Wars. Like this is Star Wars through and through. I mean, a speeder chase through the middle of a downtown marketplace in a very colorful, beautiful city. I mean, fuck, this is just good.
And like, selling droids and, you know, all of that.
The
like
team of
Echo
droids we get this episode, it's just Star Wars all the way through. Reminds me of like Attack of the Clones, the beginning of that movie with like the scenes in downtown Coruscant. You feel me? Like that's the vibes I was getting from this. Miles Buttress, tell me how you felt about this episode.
I liked it. I would agree with Joseph that it wasn't, you know, it was one of those episodes where it didn't do a whole lot. They didn't do a whole lot, but I did enjoy it quite a bit. Enjoyed the getting good old Fennec, getting to see her run around and chase after people and
not be bionic. Yeah.
Dude, I love me some Fennec Shand. Fennec Shand is a top tier character for me in terms of Star Wars at this point. Like, I love this character. But
I'm glad we're seeing a lot of her too. You know, the Mandalorian.
Me too. I want as much Fennec Shand as they're willing to give us at this point. It's a really cool character.
What's his name? The big dude get bonked on the head again.
Yeah, Wrecker goes bonk.
Wrecker.
Oh no, not again.
Yeah.
But this was a fun episode. I want to reference a tweet that I found on Twitter from @ObsKenobes. Jim does a Star War, if you're familiar. He's a great account to follow if you're into Star Wars content.
I love that dude.
He seems like a real down to earth dude who has a really, really a very good understanding of what Star Wars is. This is his tweet. The Bad Batch is really pleasant. I get up early and turn it on, and it's just really nice. There's no urgency to it like Mando, so I'm just really enjoying it, and it makes me feel warm. Like, I understand why, but I also don't. Then it says, barista, please, God, just take your coffee. But
that's kind of how I feel too, though.
It absolutely is. Like Miles was saying last week, there's not an urgency to watch this. I don't feel like I have to stay up till 2 a.m. to watch this show. I feel like I wake up Friday morning, and I am so excited to start my day off with some like pure Star Wars. Like, that's what this is at this point for me. Like, especially after this episode. I can't tell you enough how much I enjoyed this. Like, it was, like I said, just pure Star Wars. It didn't push the story forward a ton. It just kind of it just was what it was, and I appreciated that about it. Kyler Barnett, how'd you feel?
No, I agree completely. I loved this episode. I agree on the show too. Like, I was just thinking about this on my way home, and I was thinking about the conversation you and Joseph kind of had after the episode when he was kind of like, I'm not sure how I felt about it, and you were like, oh, I loved it. I just think that the lack of, like, I don't know. Well, no, I think like pressure of the show, like with Mandalorian, it was like, like you guys said, I've got to be awake, ready to watch this, and I have to be in a perfect state of mind. I have to be locked in for 48 minutes. I need to be making sure I'm catching everything. You know, with this show, it's so nice. Like, it's just so like you get to sit back and enjoy the television, like kind of like you said, like you used to watch cartoons when you were a kid, and I think there's something so pure about this show and about that like watching environment that makes it so much easier to just enjoy and have fun with, rather than like feeling like it's Mandalorian where it's like, oh my gosh, there's this absolute innate like need to capture and understand everything happening.
It's also made me realize that in terms of our podcast, I don't think we necessarily need something that's too pressing and too intense.
No, man.
Like we've seen with Mando, WandaVision, and the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, we can casually talk about something like this for an extended period of time and still get a lot out of it.
Right, I agree.
And being pressing, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And then as for the episode, I loved it. I loved the way the fight, like the action felt. Like in the city, like this, just it seemed perfect for in a perfect environment for like Fennec Shan, for like a bounty hunter to come into and like try to have this huge mission, like
in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, no, it was perfect. It was perfect.
Zam Wessel or whatever.
Yeah, I loved the vibes of it. I loved the way the city looked and how it played in the fight scenes, like just the constant like bouncing up, down, just feel of it was really awesome to watch and kind of fun. And then Fennec Shand, obviously, we've had many conversations.
We've talked about Fennec Shand.
Lovely lady, lovely lady that Fennec.
Lovely lady that Fennec Shand. And what I love is that we see her riding with Boba Fett and Mando, and she obviously has a code of some sort, an honor to her, and we see that this episode. She has zero interest in doing harm to Omega. She doesn't have any interest in hurting that dude who gave her information. It's not a big deal. We'll figure this out, okay? I'm a bounty hunter, and if I have you on my good side, you definitely trust me.
True.
Which is like that's beneficial, to have a bounty hunter that like you can go to and be like, hey, I need help. I mean, that'd be huge in the Star Wars universe.
Be huge.
I think one of the things I'm starting to, I won't even say, I don't know how I feel about it. It's not a dislike. I don't know. I'll just say I like it. I'm beginning to become more and more a fan of Omega, and like she's becoming less and less annoying to me as the episodes go on.
And see, I've heard this take all over Twitter that Omega isn't a good character. People don't like Omega. I haven't gotten that so far. Like I've enjoyed Omega thoroughly since we got her.
The first episode, I was kind of with Joseph when he kept mocking her voice and just that constantly. That being in my head so much, I was like, man, I'm not sure if I'm a fan or not. She just kind of gets like on my nerves. And then the episodes went on and I'm seeing how just like resourceful and just how like, handy she is and just like how much of a good personality she is for this show, how much of a balance there needs to be from like these brutes. They're not all brutes. It's just Wrecker, but I mean,
which makes you think though.
These are
Hunter's a brood.
They're very like just they have a little personality, but they're still not totally human in the sense of personality.
Yeah. They're all very, very narrow people in terms of their personality.
But Omega being added into the mix of that kind of opens them up, but also like makes her a lot more like just. I've become more of a fan as the first episode. It was like I was kind of on the fence, but it's last episodes. Yeah.
Especially after last episode where Wrecker really makes her a part of the family by giving her a room and
absolutely.
Like that's huge.
And I mean, also, like, Omega is an interesting character now because she's wanted. She's wanted by someone. My guess is Palpatine. I think she's wanted by Palpatine in some way.
I think it's just the Kaminoans.
Yeah, I agree.
I said last week that the way Fennec Shand was going to get tied in was these Kaminoans were going to go looking for the Bad Batch.
Yeah,
and they were
exactly.
Going to go
because they just said they needed the money. They are what was the verbiage like? Their dollars, like that is Kaminoan property. We need that back or something like that.
No,
that would include Omega.
I think Omega was meant. I think Omega was meant for something. It was clearly said that nothing is created without a purpose. There is a purpose behind Omega. There's a purpose.
I think the newfound purpose for Omega is that they want to clone her. Like those are the clones.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think
no. There's a purpose, and who's the number one customer of the Kaminoans? Who's the number one customer?
It is Palpatine.
The Jedi.
Palpatine is the number one customer at the end of the day. Because all those guys are going back to him. Whenever he says, hey, execute Order 66. He is allowing the Kaminoans to make the army for the Jedi so that he can have them at the end of the day. That's Palpatine's army. That is not the Jedi's army. I think Omega is for Palpatine, and maybe this is how we get into how Palpatine got into his cloning path and how he made Snoke and all of that sort of thing.
Is that what you think Omega's purpose is to somehow figure out how to clone a Force being by maybe setting up increments of sorts, like we've seen. She is highly perceptive. She knows when things are about to happen. So maybe that was her enhancement, and they're thinking if we can have this enhancement on a clone, we can give it a Force.
I think it's just another
how we
step.
get Rey.
I think it's another baby step though, because I think this is a precursor to what we saw.
Hold up. I'm sorry, Joe. Kyler said something pretty interesting that I want him to elaborate on a little bit. We have been getting a lot of parallels between Omega and Rey. Is your speculation here from what I understand?
Okay, well, so listen. If I'm going to give Joseph some credit here based on how you kind of fluffed Joe's words up. Okay, Joe's was kind of, it was kind of hit or miss, and then you fluffed it up with some of the extra shit, and then I was kind of feeling it, and that's when I came. Look, if Rey is a Palpatine of some sort, and Palpatine and Joseph's theory is responsible for this Omega thing and the purpose, and if Omega is supposedly perceptive, and Colton, you're saying, is going to be a clone to be a Force being, would it not make sense that Rey was maybe the first and Palpatine?
I mean, it would make sense. It would make sense. I don't think they'll do it.
No, I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. But like, it was a theory.
That's a fun line of thinking.
But that was just a thought. Yeah, well. But Joseph started it off, and then Colton.
There's the other side of the coin,
closer, and then there was there.
There's the other side of the coin.
I was like, yo, imagine.
I feel you.
The other side of the coin is not that serious. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not Rey. It doesn't lead to Rey. I think that Omega is like one of the first baby steps in the process of Palpatine finding a way to stay alive and make Force-sensitive clones, blah, blah, blah. Because in The Mandalorian, we see Grogu's DNA be taken, and this is...
Sorry, go ahead.
Like, who do you think is behind all of, the gathering of Grogu's DNA? It's probably Palpatine. He's looking for a way to clone Force-sensitive beings, or possibly put his consciousness into one. and I think Omega is like a baby step in this process.
So
I see you.
bro, so the man that comes out with the most crazy takes wants to look my take in the face and spit on it and say, nah.
Kind of, because this is what I think. This is what I
Damn,
think
bro.
is happening. This is what I
You're
think is
telling
happening.
me I was too
Anyone was
outlandish for that
You
guy?
haven't forgot.
At the end of the day, this is what I think is happening, and it's on a much bigger scale. I think Dave Filoni is fixing the sequels,
Oh,
and this is his first step. This is phase 1.
dude.
And let me explain to you. This is how big it. I
Get
swear to you.
shit on Kyler.
I swear to you that I full-heartedly believe this. That this simple thing, showing how Palpatine is cloning everything, it's going to link Grogu, right? And where's Grogu with Luke now? So Grogu's going to either have to die at the temple with Kylo or something. Grogu, there's more Grogu to be found, and maybe, you know, Grogu being the future of the Jedi, maybe this gives Luke reason enough to want to kill Kylo and make him act that way. Because that's one of the main gripes that Star Wars fans have with the sequels, is that no way Luke Skywalker would want to just instantly kill his grandson just because he saw, you know, a shred of darkness in him. Because for his father, he would never, you know, he said, just because there's an ounce of light in you means that you can be saved. With his father, there's no way he does that with his grandson. You know, there's no way he's just like that now. But it would make sense if Grogu was on the line. If Luke saw a vision of Kylo killing Grogu, I mean, to save the future of the Jedi,
hold up.
wouldn't...
Hold up. I ain't ever heard Joseph spit facts the way he's spitting facts
This
right
is...
now.
Right? I literally think Dave Filoni is fixing the sequels. And
Well, there is the theory, now that's a theory that even branches into real life, as we have seen Dave Filoni recently get promoted to executive director, or executive creative director of Lucasfilm. What better way to fix the sequels than just to lock in what we saw? Fix them necessarily, but make them make more sense.
No, but like, if Dave Filoni does this and he executes this changes everything. Like, it changes the way I see the sequels completely. Like, I see the sequels like, oh my God, like, these are actually really good for what's actually happening, you know, that we didn't get in the sequels. Like, knowing that information changes everything if it turns out to be true.
And that would be cool.
If you were Luke Skywalker and you had a being that lived to 900 years old, or a grandson that you saw that was going to kill that being, nephew that was going to kill that being, and you know, you're a pretty deep with the Force Jedi, don't you think you would maybe think about killing your nephew?
Well, see, that's another thing that has always bothered me, is that just because, like, the thought that just because Luke once upon a time looked at the good in his father means he can't see the good in his, or that he would have to see the good and always be good from now on in the rest of his life. Here's the thing. Luke is a human. He's going to have natural fucking...
Yeah. But I don't see that. If he's the man that's opening up a temple to teach Jedi and create a new era of Jedi, there's no way that he is going to be like, oh, my nephew has this much darkness in him, like, I'm just going to kill him.
I mean,
there's no way he switches like that. Like,
I mean, Yoda, based off of the fact that Anakin was fucking like 3 years too old, decided, nah, fuck this kid. Like, throw him out in the streets.
Dude, Grogu, that's huge. Having another Yoda. I mean, you have another Yoda. Like, Luke saw Yoda die and realized, he realized, oh my God, this dude literally is the Jedi. He knows pretty much everything. He knows more than anyone else here. That dude. Like,
here's the thing. The speculation here, it does require a lot of elaboration.
That's true.
We would need to see it. But I will say it is feasible.
Why
That's
would they
the thing.
show Luke taking Grogu if they weren't going to show it? They showed us
Joseph,
Luke taking
I can
Grogu.
get-
and there's
I can
only
get
one
behind-
place where he's taking him. There's only one place.
I can get behind everything you're saying, Joseph. I just have one issue with this entire line of thought. And that's the fact that I don't think Dave Filoni is going to have the Bad Batch have that big of a significance on the overarching Star Wars universe.
That's
I
not
just
what it
think
is. That's
I'm
not
with
what it is
Joseph
at all.
here in that
That's
it would
not
be
what it
a
is at
small
all.
part.
It's like
It
an
would be a
Iron
small
Man
part of it.
introducing the smallest little details that lead up to Endgame. This is like planting the seeds. Dave Filoni.
Yes, but
it's
I don't
Dave
think Dave
Filoni.
I'm what I'm
He
saying
has
is
that
I
power.
don't think
He
no,
has
I-
that power.
No, what I'm saying
if
is
you
I don't
think he has that power.
I'm not saying he doesn't
does.
have that power, Joseph. I'm saying I don't think that those seeds would get planted in the Bad Batch.
They would. This is
Because
a perfect place
not
to
enough
put it.
people.
Perfect place to put it. Perfect.
No, you would want that in some place that where more people would see it.
No. Because think about what happened in.
Here's the thing, is that if the seed planted here is that Omega is the first step in the potential of cloning Palpatine in the future to inhabit a Force body, that isn't hugely necessary to understanding the overarching plot.
It's the analogy that I would put to it is like the first mention of an Infinity Stone in the MCU leading to Thanos and Endgame. Like this is where we're at. And this is what I think Dave Filoni's doing. We have so many shows coming out. He is planting so many seeds. He has the capability to literally do anything.
And here's the thing. If you're going to clean up a storyline, like a storyline that a lot of people see as inherently flawed, and you're going to try and connect the dots that people tried to poke holes in, you know, is there a better place to start than 50 years before the sequel trilogy? Like if he can close the gap here by any means, like I think I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to do it. I don't think he's going to dedicate his career though to fixing
that's what I
a
was gonna
property
say.
that he didn't start.
Dude, that's so time consuming, and honestly,
But
while he may
I don't
want to, that's the most that's not as fruitful as some of the
But
work.
that's the thing.
That's not as
That's
fruitful as like his labor could be. Like the labor of doing things he is creating from start to finish.
I
That
know.
Instead of
but
trying to
that's
fix
the
someone
thing.
else's work.
That's the thing.
Dude,
He
what would
has
you rather have?
Disney behind. Okay. Dave Filoni is. I understand that he doesn't want to dedicate his life's work, to fixing another's problem, I guess. But the thing is that now he has Disney behind him. He could just be, wind the clock. He could be the George R. R. Martin, say, hey, these things have to happen. I'm planting these seeds here. He's the Kevin Feige of sorts. He says, these critical things need to happen. You fill in with everything else. But these critical things need to happen. This will strengthen my character. This will strengthen Ahsoka because I'll get her in her series. And this will be some critical stuff with Ahsoka because he loves Ahsoka. That's his little baby. He would do anything for Ahsoka. And honestly, it's not that much effort for Dave Filoni to do. Like, this dude bleeds Star Wars. He knows every little detail about the universe. And who's to say that on a lunch that he had at Denny's, he was like, oh my God, I just found out how to fix the sequels. Like, I don't know.
Yes, but if you're going to go through all that effort for all that, you're going to put it towards he's going to put it towards his own work and not put it towards fixing something that's already done and over with. He is putting it
towards his own work.
See, here's the thing where I understand where Joseph is coming from. The way he has already somewhat retconned some stuff in terms of Grogu going to Luke's Jedi Temple and just the introduction of all of the Bad Batch and the beginning of the Empire. Like he has full control over a lot of stuff, and especially with the Mandalorian as of right now, it's not like him trying to retcon anything has gotten in the way. It just naturally has. Mm-hmm. It just naturally has retconned things. Or not naturally retconned things, but
Yeah,
actually
it's
potentially had an effect on things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
and that's what I'm saying though is like with that, he's not going to be coming up with ideas thinking like, all right, you know what? Everyone hated, this part. Let's go back and let me think of something that could fix that. Instead, he's going to come up with the storyline of Omega and think, what can I do with this that does what I want, not what other people want?
That's
Which
what
is my issue with
that's
it, which is
my
why I think he has
Okay.
come up with his own issues for future storylines that he is going to do, and Omega is going to be the solutions for those storylines, not the solution for how the fuck did Palpatine come back to life.
I understand that you're seeing like this is way so much effort for just Dave Filoni to fix, a problem. But at the same time, these are all his shows. These are all his shows, and they're all great. And each one of them are going to go down as fantastic. Where are they all leading? They're all leading somewhere, and they're all cliffhangering to the sequels. Mandalorian cliffhangering to the sequels. Grogu goes with Luke. What does that scream? It screams we're gonna see Luke and Grogu in the future.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily lead to the prequel.
But it
way
does.
down the line, maybe it leads to the prequels.
But it does. It just
they
leads
can
there. It's just natural.
They can
These
spend
shows
his entire
are-
life spent on stories that
It's
that
not
lead
his entire
to
life.
the prequels.
Think about
but
his
never actually
promotion.
reach the prequels.
I'm sorry. We have talked about this a while.
Yeah,
We can speculate all we want on what Dave Filoni's intentions are. How about we dive in to the episode, scene by scene breakdown? How would you feel about that?
Maybe that's a good idea.
Let's do it. So, Bad Bitches number 4, Bad Batch Bitches number 4, Cornered. It's the title of the episode. We open on the crew in space flight plotting on their next move, and they agree it's time to hide. And Omega's like, what the fuck? Are we going to hide now? I was stuck for my
She
entire
was
fucking
pissed.
life.
She was
Let me
pissed.
go somewhere. Let me explore. And Hunter's like, no, not yet. We'll get there, but we got to wait till things settle down. And Tech informs him that laying low isn't an incredible option. They've got to do shit. They're running low on rations, running low on supplies. They need to re-up since the Republic is not providing them with such things. And Echo chimes in that their ship's signature is on a wanted list. And Tech says, no worries, he can fix it, but they just got to make landfall on this planet called Pantora to make these changes. They exit, the ship, or not the ship. They exit the room on the ship, and Omega marvels at the hologram of the planet. And is like, yeah, we're going to Pantora. Like, she's like, fuck yeah, I'm going to see some shit. I love that about Omega here in this episode, is that she is just desperate to see things. She wants to experience the world, the galaxy at large. And I appreciate
I would
that
be.
about her.
I mean, if I was stuck on an ocean planet, I'd want to see everything,
Oh, absolutely. A
Even
planet
just
where
to
it
go
only
pee in a
rains?
new bathroom. Even to go pee in a new bathroom. Think about that. You can't pee in the same bathroom your whole life. Like, come on, that'd be a
pretty
whole
epic.
new experience. Man.
It'd be pretty epic. But, they
What
enter
do alien
Pantora's atmosphere.
bathrooms
And
look like?
also, interesting that the planet Pantora is so close to the planet, or the name Pandora. Do you think that this was obviously alluding to the potential dangers of opening Pandora's box? Like you go down on a planet not knowing what you might find, and you get in trouble.
Interesting.
could be it, or it could just be sounded like a Star Wars planet name.
Yeah, it could be. You never know. But it is a cool planet name, nevertheless.
Yeah.
But, they enter the planet's atmosphere. They land in a docking bay. And walking off the ship, Wrecker complains that they shouldn't have told him that they were out of rations because now he's fucking starving. And approaching from nearby is that overseer of the docking bay who's just a complete and utter fuckboy. And he says that he needs to scan their ship in. But Wrecker tells him he can just go ahead and skip that part. You know what I'm saying? Like, get to it. You can just move right on past it. And the guy looks at me and said, he's like, I suppose I could do that. And Wrecker and Tech are like, hell yeah, dope. Sounds like
See
a
ya.
plan. And he's like, well, wait. I guess you guys didn't get what I was saying. I need a bribe. And they're like, is that enough? And he's like, no. And they give him even more credits. And that's all she wrote there. And Wrecker's like, hell yeah, we're getting the hang of this civilian thing pretty well. And I think he's got civilian wrong there. I think they've got the fugitive thing going relatively well. It's not going perfect by any means at this point, but it is what it is.
Well, I kind of like the vibes that like. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I just kind of love the vibe around the Bad Batch. Like this whole like they now have nowhere, like no place really. They're kind of struggling to find their place and where they fit in, or like what they're gonna do now. I mean, obviously they're trying to run away, but like you know, eventually you got to stop somewhere and figure out how and where. You know what you're gonna do. So I just kind of like that like feeling of like they're just trying to make their way away, but also trying to figure out where they fit in or like what they do in the meantime. And like for me, I just think that's a fun. It's a fun storyline to follow, and in a show like this where it's animated and it's got that Saturday morning cartoon feeling about it, that's a great storyline for that kind of show, in my opinion.
Well, in Mandalorian, we got this the same sort of thing, but we didn't get the broke aspect of it. Mando always had money. He was always able to pay for the things he wanted to do. The Bad Batch are straight up out of things. They are out of like they need to re-up on everything. Like if that's what this is them surviving in the first days of the Empire and ultimately battling the Empire in an interesting way, leading to the first rebellion potentially. Like wouldn't that be satisfying? Wouldn't something like that be awesome? I think that's just a great, I think that should be a really great place to leave.
What if Omega is Rey?
Dude,
the timeline doesn't line up. I already thought about it.
How does the age line up?
Rey was like 20 in the sequel trilogy. For this to be Rey, she would have to be, like Luke's age.
Yeah, she would have to be pretty old at this point.
Actually, she would be older than
Luke.
She would.
That'd be pretty cool. Because that would be pretty cool if Rey ended up being a clone.
Joe, just come over to my side and say my take was right, because I felt like that was pretty big-brained.
Nah, Kyler, your take was way too out there for even the likes of Joseph.
That's crazy.
Of Joseph.
I really made this man Joseph say, dude, holy shit, calm down.
Dude, chill the fuck out over there.
But, the fuckboy who took the bribe goes into his office and he immediately rats on these dudes to a bounty hunter. And we find that this bounty hunter is the one and only Fennec fucking Shand. I was like, hell yeah, we're right here. We're in it now. She's officially being introduced. And, Omega, or, where was I in my notes? Oh, yeah. She pulls up a hologram of Omega. Fennec Shand does. And tells this dude to make sure that they don't leave. So, it is clear the target of the bounty hunters, the bounty is set on Omega. Omega is the person who was wanted. And from the get-go, we probably could have guessed that. But granted, it also could have been on any of the Bad Batch. They're all wanted men at this point. But I like that.
So
Omega,
I
like that Omega is the part that, like, she's the one who's
wanted. I think it reflects in, like, again, to kind of go off what it's not necessarily going off Joseph, what he's saying, but it would kind of lend a little bit of credence to the initial part of what he was saying. That just shows to me that the Kaminoans value Omega greater than any of the other 6. They're probably thinking, well, if we can only get one, who is the most valuable?
We need to
and who do we want to keep happy?
So, they're probably also think ease. Who's the easiest to probably
That's what I was going to say. It could also be the fact that she's the easiest. And what I was going to say earlier, because what I think the main issue that the Kaminoans are faced with now is the fact that what's his name's DNA is degraded. I think she could be an answer to that.
Or it's the Kaminoans wanting to be like, hey, who should we keep happy? And who are we the most afraid of? Oh, that Palpatine guy who could kill us pretty quickly, and he's pretty creepy and old, raggedy and wrinkly. Like
I was gonna try and get something in there without starting another
hour-long
discussion.
It all leads to Palpatine, and it all leads to Dave Filoni being the mastermind behind fixing the sequels and making them his own baby. Oh.
But back on the planet Pantora, Wrecker isn't happy with the task assigned to him. Why is it that him and Tech always have to do the repairs, and Hunter and Echo get to go off sightseeing? And Omega perks up at the word. He's like, sightseeing? What? I get to go see sights? And Hunter has to be the killer of joy. You know, he's like, no. This is a supply run, in and out, quietly, quickly. And Echo's like, yeah, Wrecker, that's why you got to sit the fuck out. You stand out too much. And Wrecker's like, fuck, what, you mean you don't? And Echo puts on his disguise. He's like, not when I'm wearing this. And like, when I first saw this, I was like, are they trying to pass him off as a droid? Like, is that the route they're going with this?
Yeah.
And it turns out that's what they succeeded in doing, but it also doesn't seem like that's what Echo anticipated later on. You know what I'm saying?
How does Hunter, like, just
know,
pass as not suspicious? You know? Like, he has the most recognizable face in the galaxy. I don't know. He's just a normal-looking clone.
He's got to be gone.
There we go.
Wow.
That's why I didn't respond, Joseph, because Colton was frozen.
Are we back?
Oh, he's frozen again.
The Wi-Fi's a joke. I won't work.
Hello?
Oh.
Colton?
Holy shit.
Fuck. Colton?
That was a long one. I'm surprised you're still in it.
That was bad. No, we got some new
Joseph,
some new
I
Wi-Fi
100%
in the house, and boy, oh boy, does it fucking suck.
Damn. New Wi-Fi?
New
Joseph,
Wi-Fi.
I
and it
completely get where you're coming from about the about like how Hunter, because half of his face is a fucking skull tattoo.
Yeah,
but at the same time, he is also the most like normal looking out of the group.
But he has the most recognizable face in the entire galaxy.
Yeah, if someone's looking for it, they're gonna immediately notice him.
It's like, oh, there's another one of those clones that we see every fucking day.
No, but he doesn't look exactly like a clone.
What?
And he can at least pass for like a normal
because of his
looking
hair.
Dude.
He doesn't.
No,
pass
he has
as
a different.
clone.
His face looks different.
Oh,
but also,
the skull
he's the only
tattoo?
one. He's the only one that looks like a normal looking dude, whereas like Wrecker is,
Wrecker looks the least like a clone.
He looks the least like a clone, but he's a goddamn brick.
And who would want to mess with them?
Echo, Echo's
Echo.
Why am I getting heated over this? What the?
I don't know.
Oh, I need to chill out, boys. I'm sorry.
Oh, fight me. Just fight somebody, Joseph. But
I will.
Hunter says that Omega is with him and Echo for their quote sightseeing, and they make their way off. And Wrecker yells after them to make sure that they bring back something good to eat. Wrecker's trying to munch. He's a big ass dude. And the fuckboy in his office watches on as they make their way out the docking bay. But in the streets of Pantora, Echo, Omega, and Hunter walk through a crowd of civilians cheering on the stormtroopers who are marching through the city. And Omega's like, what the fuck are they celebrating for? I seem to be in a whole lot of panic all the time. And Hunter tells her it's the end of the war. And they stumble upon another chain code outpost with the hologram and a voice of Admiral Rampart bellowing propaganda for the Empire, and Hunter notes that things are changing quicker than he thought. He's like, and I like this little detail because it's like, how much can Hunter really tell that shit's escalating? But it's a nice little wink at the audience, like, stuff is escalating quick for civilians. They are very quickly being accepting of the Empire, and the Empire is winning them over very quickly. Like, this transfer of power has gone over surprisingly well. But they stumble upon Hunter notes that things are changing quicker than he thought, and Omega says that the war is over. Isn't that fucking good? Like, shouldn't we be celebrating? And Echo tells her it depends on what side you're on, Right now, we're not too fond of the Empire, so maybe we should still be fighting. And back with Tech and Wrecker at the ship, he very unceremoniously begins tearing apart the ship to get to the signature so that Tech can fuck with it. But back at the markets of Pantora, Hunter tries to sell the one and only detonator they have, and it's the only thing worth credits on their entire ship. And the merchant tells him that this isn't going to work due to the fact that he's running a reputable business. Holy shit, that was bad. But this is some black market type shit. He can't deal in this. And Omega, being a curious cat, looks through the items of the shop, knocks over one of them, and the merchant yells at her, "If you break it, you buy it." And obviously, as a child, even when like I heard shit like that, you know, you get scared. You're like, "Oh shit, I really fucking wish there were puppies
Dude,
right now."
No, dude, no. Every time,
wish there
dude,
were
no. When you
puppies.
were a child, there was like nothing scarier than getting yelled at by someone that like you didn't know. Like if it was your mom or even like a friend's mom, like someone you knew was okay-ish, like you could like get over it / like you could understand it. But bro, the fear when a stranger would yell at you, like you'd be out in public, like in a store, and like dude, somebody would yell at you in the store, bro, that feeling, that like sinking and scary feeling that like a stranger had the balls to yell at you,
Also, frankly,
scary
if you're
as
a grown
fuck.
ass person yelling, if you're a grown ass person yelling at another person's child, fuck off. Grow the fuck up.
Yeah,
Stop
have
being
some
you.
feel. Have some
Do
feel.
something else with your life.
Those people
Just
suck.
be sensible. But you know,
Dude,
Omega
no.
apologizes,
That
quickly
shit-
rushes to pick it up and stuff. Oh, sorry,
I'm gonna
Joe.
start
You
yelling
were
at
cutting
children
out. I was
now.
cutting out. You're gonna start yelling at
I
I'm
children.
gonna
agree.
start. Yeah, I'm gonna start yelling
Joseph,
at children now.
I can get behind that. They deserve it.
You
I'm
guys
gonna
are
team yell at
stars.
children
Kids for
2021.
life.
Dude, I literally substitute kids all damn
Golden
day.
corrals
don't
and
even
yell at
them.
children.
Come on. Come
That's my
on.
slogan.
You
That's
know,
my slogan.
She apologizes. She picks up the shit that she knocked over, and Echo approaches her to help out with the toy. And the merchant checks out Echo and mistakes him for a droid. And he tells Hunter that he's willing to buy him for 2,000 credits. And Hunter's like, "Oh shit, that sounds kind of good." He goes over to Echo and he discusses it with him for a second. And Echo's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me?" And Hunter's like, "Don't worry, you'll be back in a second. It's no big deal." And Echo's like, "Fine, but I'm worth more than 2,000." And so Hunter counteroffers. He's like 4,000, but they ultimately settle on 3. And Echo and Hunter make their way to the merchant as Omega notices some puppies from a galaxy far, far away walking behind her. And again, curiosity killed the cat. She wanders following the puppies, and they steal her fucking toy. So ultimately, you know, she just heard from the stranger yelling at her, "If you break it, you buy it. What happens if you lose it?" She's obviously thinking, well, shit, we don't have the money for that. I have to go get that back. So she chases these puppies, you know, losing sight of Hunter and the rest of the team. But, you know, lurking in the shadows, watching her, is Fennec Shand, who's watching her run from Hunter and Echo. And back with the merchant, Hunter sends Echo with the merchant, and then turns to find no Omega. And he panics and begins his search for her. And Omega's still chasing the fucking puppies. But she's still overwhelmed by the streets that Pantora is host to. You know, she's like, there's a lot going on. I am not around anybody I know. And if you have anxiety, this is another scene. It reminded me of Into the Spider-Verse. And that scene where Miles Morales is hearing his thoughts really loud. And he's walking through the hall and he looks at everybody and he can hear his thoughts like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. So he's just in a panic because his anxiety is overtaking him. And that's exactly what this scene felt like to me. And if you have anxiety, you felt this feeling in particular. And it's not fun, not particularly fun. But in a moment of this panic, she's approached by Fennec Shand, who reassures her that things will be okay. And they begin walking together. And I like that, like, Fennec Shand, delicate touch. She knows what is needed for different situations. She's an intelligent person. She doesn't just come up and grab the random child. You know, she's like, come on, I'll help you. It's fine. Just walk with me to my ship. You know, back with the merchant, he orders Echo to take charge of a group of droids, and a protocol droid approaches, just talking a whole bunch of shit. He's like, you know, I'm in charge. And Echo turns, and the thing realizes, oh fuck, this is no droid. And the droid threatens to snitch. He's like, I gotta go tell my employer what the fuck going on. And Echo's like, nah, fuck all that. Here's this gun I got. And he threatens the rest of the bunch of droids. And sure enough, he's got a nice team of droids under his thumb after threatening all their lives.
Yeah, the good old, no, I think you misheard. I'm in charge.
Yeah, but you know, Hunter still in a fucking panic. He finds the toy that Omega had been holding before, and he continues on his path toward her. And we cut to Omega and Fennec, where Omega thanks her again for helping her. And Fennec says it's no problem. She asks if she's hungry, and Omega's like, yeah, but the thing is, I have $0. And Fennec then slyly steals some fruit from a merchant, knocking the fruit down, kneeling down to pick it up, and storing some of it in her helmet, which is nice and nifty. Didn't seem too incredibly low-key, not going to lie. As she was doing it, I was like, this woman doesn't see her sticking those fruit in her helmet. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. But, as Fennec had knelt down, Omega notices the blaster on Fennec's hip, and Fennec tosses her a piece of the fruit, and Omega says, but you didn't pay for these. And Fennec's like, it's all right to break the rules sometimes. You can steal from people. And Omega asks about her blaster. She's like, okay, what's going on here? And, Fennec goes full Second Amendment. Got to protect yourself. Galaxy's a dangerous place to be. And Omega's like, yeah, thank goodness I have my group of friends who have allowed me to get kidnapped by a bounty hunter. Omega offers her a spot on the team. She's like, if you're alone, you can come with us. And Fennec humors her a little bit. She says that's the best offer she's had in some time. I thought that was a cute little moment. Omega's really this showed me that Omega's extremely trusting of Fennec, and Fennec is not afraid to abuse that trust.
Omega's just so innocent.
Yeah, exactly. And Fennec will take full advantage of that as much as she possibly can.
Yeah. I also knew in this situation, obviously, Fennec's a bounty hunter. She's not going to join, but part of me was just like, damn, if she just fucking joined them.
Oh, they'd be unstoppable.
That'd be so cool.
They'd never lose. But wouldn't that be a cool storyline for Fennec, like up to where we find her later on? Is that like she was just part of the Bad Batch for a while?
Part of the Bad Batch for a while, finally just, dipped for a bit.
I don't know. I'm here for it. I think
maybe that's how Boba found her and fixed her up.
What if in the Ahsoka series we've got Tamara Morrison confirmed to be in all sorts of Star Wars properties? Do you think there's any chance we get any Old Man Bad Batch stuff? Like they make appearances as old fucking men.
I would love it. I would love it.
But I think most of those, because that's the guy who voices them all, right?
Yeah. No, Tamara Morrison's the one who plays them in live action.
Gotcha. I was going to say, I feel like most of those is going to be from Old Man, like Rex or things like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. But, from behind the Omega and Fennec, who has just been offered a spot on the Bad Batch, Hunter runs up and he yells for Omega. Fennec turns and holds Omega's shoulder, and Hunter tells her to, step away from her. It's cool. Just come this way a little bit. And Omega's like, why? This woman, she's helping me. We're cool. She's helping me look for you. We're chilling. And Fennec puts her helmet on and says, yes, Omega and I were getting to know each other. And Hunter grabs the knife at his back, and Omega's starting to get a little sus, and then looks to see Fennec's hand hovering over her blaster, and she's like, oh, I'm in a bit of a tissy, aren't I? This isn't particularly good. And the fight breaks out, Fennec firing, and Omega jumps up and grabs her arm. I was like, hey, okay, Omega, I see you. She was really, that's a smart move in that situation. I wouldn't have thought to do it, I don't think.
She's about it. Intuition.
It's pretty dope. But she yanks her arm down to avoid her shooting, and Hunter fights back. But it doesn't last long, and Fennec has Hunter pinned with a knife pointed at him, and Hunter tells Omega to run. And I felt like it's obviously not a direct callback, I don't think, but naturally, since it happened 3 episodes earlier, it felt like a callback to Master Billipa telling Caleb Doom, get the fuck out of here. Run. So I think it's maybe a example of how Hunter has already learned in this series. Maybe something like that. I don't think it's supposed to be or anything. It's supposed to be like, obviously that's common sense, but he has been around a situation like this relatively recently. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. But kind of like a Cal Kestis in when Darth showed up.
Those vibes.
Rip, run, and then instantly just him.
But yeah, it doesn't. It's not a good situation. But ultimately, Hunter overpowers Fennec after Omega has already ran off, and he disarms her of his knife. But she quickly knocks him out with a headbutt. Like, okay, you got me here, but I'm gonna fuck you up real quick. Knocks him the fuck out, and the stormtroopers approach and are like, "Yo, citizen, stop!" And Fennec is forced to run away. But back at the ship, Wrecker has unearthed the signature key for Tech to get all get all techie with, and it took most of the ship's innards to find it. He really tore this ship apart. He didn't hold back, not in the slightest. But just as they're about to get it all modified, Hunter comes over the comms. And he explains he's lost Omega, that a highly trained woman attacked them, and Wrecker runs off. He's like, "I'm on it." And I love that that's the Wrecker we've come to know. And we do see how it backfires here in a moment. How he is quick to action, little to thinking. But I like those details we get about Wrecker, is that he's always like, Omega's in trouble, I am running towards her. I do not need to hear any more information.
Mm-hmm.
But
ride or die.
Just a nice big brother. But Hunter says that he's made some noise, and Tech needs to get the ship moving so they can get off this fucking rock. And Tech explains that at the moment it's hardly a ship. We need some droids to get up here and work on this thing. And thankfully, Echo has the perfect team for that sort of assignment. And the protocol droid's like, "Yo, Echo, we can't leave our post, man. That's just not going to fly. And even if we could, we can't get these restraining bolts off." And Echo's like, "Well, fine, I'll take care of that. There's a reason I'm the supervisor."
I got a freaking screwdriver as a hand.
takes off. I got a screwdriver as a hand. He just takes off all the restraining bolts and we're off. The merchant is amazed to find that this incredibly man-shaped droid was in fact just a man, not a droid.
Yeah, a cyborg.
Yeah, and Echo retorts, he's like, "You got me for a bargain." He's like, "Hunter whored me out, and you got me for 3,000 credits. I'm worth at least 10. Still running. Omega dodges her way through the streets of Pantora, and Fennec's still on her tail, and Omega finds a sewer hole. She decides to dive on down, and back at the ship, Tech has found her through the security cameras and is informing the team of her position. And he sees Fennec follow her into that same sewer hole. And underground, Omega and Fennec continue the chase. Omega runs into someone. She yelps. You're like, "Ah, fuck, what's going on now?" But thankfully, it's just Wrecker. He picks her up, and she wraps her arms around him, leans her head into his shoulder, so it's like real big brothery. Like, it's like this is her protector, and she knows that. She's comfortable with that. And I thought that was cute as hell. But he over his shoulder, Omega sees Fennec, and she's like, "Oh shit, you gotta do something." And he sets her down, tells her to get to the ship. He'll handle this. And Omega starts up the ladder, and Wrecker tells Fennec, "You mess with the kid, you mess with me." And in classic Wrecker fashion, throws that helmet on. He gets that foot kicking like he's a fucking bull about to charge. And then he just runs. He's like, "I'm going to plow over this person." Fennec has other plans.
Yeah.
She swiftly knocks his ass out by spinning his head into the wall. And one move. That was that. Wrecker was done.
Poor guy.
I like this too. Is that another thing they've done well at showing us is that none of them are incredible on their own. They all have things that they benefit from having the others around.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Wrecker needs the minds of the others, obviously. But we see that even Hunter here, someone who seemingly has most of his shit together, he obviously needs the team around to take after Omega as of right now. He can't do that on his own yet. He's made that abundantly clear to me. Anyway.
What are you talking about? He's only lost her 3 different times.
Tech couldn't remove all those engine parts without Wrecker.
Hunter wouldn't have been able to do what he did without selling Echo to that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like and I like that. That's always the idea is that they all need help from each other.
We're Crosshair though.
I mean,
Rip to my man.
You're right, but
that moment. I forgot about that moment in the episode where they saw Crosshair's gear. And they were like, wait, that was last episode?
Yeah.
I thought it was this one.
No, that was last episode.
Never mind.
But, Fennec blows right past Wrecker after knocking him the fuck out, and she's right behind Omega on the ladder, where at the top, Omega finds herself overlooking Pantora on some sort of tower. And back at the ship, Echo and the droids have found that Tech was speaking facts about the state of the ship, And I like that we're introduced to this little droid Clink with the feet and the arms. He just like wobbles around like a little person, but with an astromech body. Mm-hmm. And I really fuck with Clink. I love Clink. I want more Clink.
Dude, they don't miss. The droids, they don't miss. They don't fucking miss with the droids.
If there's anything that'll make Star Wars feel like Star Wars, it's a team of fucking droids, bro. Mm-hmm. And introducing a team of droids into this episode was officially where I went, this is Star Wars. And then after that, getting a speeder chase, fuck, bro. Like, this is just...
And the police sirens that go... I love that noise. That's such a Star Wars noise.
Exactly. But at the top of the tower, Omega is knocked off balance, and she's forced to hang from the ledge. And Tech informs Hunter of the situation. He's like, yo, I've got eyes on Omega. She is definitely hanging from a tower.
Can we talk about the purpose of this tower? What's the purpose of this tower?
I couldn't tell you. I've got to guess that it's like an access point that for some reason is unreasonably high and has an unreasonably long ladder below ground.
But, like, there's no reason to be on that catwalk. Like, what
I mean, maybe it's like maybe it's like for like technicians to like go to like get down in there. They drive a little speeder up there, hop off, climb down instead of having to go down, get in the dirt, go down on the ground.
Maybe they've got a real rain problem on Pantora, and these sort of things can like help funnel the water system. Like it really helps handle that sort of thing.
Okay, I can get behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But nice, Kyler. Tech informs Hunter of the situation, of course, and Hunter's like, the fuck? Hanging from a tower? And as it happens, someone is pulling up on their speeder right next to Hunter, and he doesn't hesitate to steal that shit. That's his speeder now. I need it. And this poor guy, let me tell you, I don't think this is his last appearance in the episode, and if I'm right about that, his second appearance in the episode just really made his day all the fucking worse. If I'm right about it. I don't know if it's for sure the same guy.
What?
But I'll get to that later.
That guy appeared in the episode more than once?
Yeah, once the sun freezes, Colton's going to have to repeat himself, because I'm actually kind of interested to hear what he has to say.
But her grip slips. Luckily, she is...
Dang it, that was actually interesting.
By Fennec Shan, which is...
Yeah, Colton. Oh, I heard...
Yeah.
Is he back? You're going to have to repeat everything you just said, because we did. You froze out after... This is the second time he's appeared in the episode, and if I'm right, because both me and Joseph were both like, what? He appeared again? I kind of want to hear this.
I was saying that he does appear a second time, I think. And that second time, his day just goes from bad to fucking worse. If I'm right. And I'll get there. I'll get there later. But
what? I'm so confused.
Don't worry. I'll get there. Don't worry. I'm just bringing it up now. Back at the tower, Omega hangs for a moment. But her grip slips, and luckily she is caught by Fennec Shand. And Hunter is fast approaching. He sees Omega dropped in the back of a transport speeder, followed closely by Fennec Shand. And Fennec pulls out the 9. She starts blasting. When Underground Wrecker wakes and realizes he's got to find Omega. But Tech tells him not to worry and just to get back to the ship. And this little detail told me that they were like, we don't know what to do with Wrecker. We need to write something off for the rest of the episode. So the rest of the episode, he will be trying his best to get back to the ship. That's all. That's the rest of his arc. And I appreciate that they were like, all right, let's get like a tad bit lazy with this tiny part. As shots fire, Omega realizes she may be able to help, and she pulls a lever that causes the contents of the transport to begin falling out of the back. And Fennec is taken out by the falling cargo. And Fennec and the cargo land on a speeder nearby. And this is the second time I think this guy makes an appearance. I think this guy got his speeder bike stolen. Said, fuck, I got to go get to my car. Got in his car, got his shit hijacked by a bounty hunter, and got hit by some fucking falling cargo, and then got thrown from a ship that was like 30 feet in the air. I think it was the same guy. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure.
That poor dude, if it is, man.
That seems like the
dead.
type of thing
Dead.
where they would have it be the same dude just so that way it'd be funnier. The fact that the same dude is just getting fucked on.
And there's one moment here in a second that like really, really makes me think that's what happened. It's where Fennec and the falling cargo, they land on that speeder, and then we cut to the driver of the cargo transport who's just fucking vibing. So I got to think that they inserted a little more comedy in this episode than they have in the past episodes, and that was this dude getting his speeder bike stolen and then his actual speeder stolen.
We need to see the untold stories of the people who got down bad because of the main characters,
Yeah.
How many people got tortured because of the main characters?
These are the people Wanda put in Westview.
Yeah.
No, what I need is a Disney released soundtrack of Star Wars music that Star Wars people jam out to, because this dude was just fucking jamming.
This dude was vibing to something that actually slapped.
Yeah. That's what I need. I need some real officially endorsed Star Wars music.
That'd be outstanding. But as more cargo falls out, Omega, must grab on to one of the straps that was holding all the cargo in. And as it falls, nearby cops join the chase. They're like, oh shit, gotta follow that. There's a bunch of cargo falling out of it. And Fennec hijacks the speeder that she fell on and commences her chase. And as Hunter's speeder catches up to a hanging Omega, Fennec runs him down, knocking him over nearby buildings. I was like, oh, he is out of here. He just perfectly fell right over that wall. And Fennec then turns around and just straight up murks the cops that were chasing them. She's like, You know what? If there's anybody here who I am comfortable, no questions asked, killing, it's these feds. She turns around and just pops one, the other one crashes into the other. And
she's got that action, plain and simple. Whenever Fennec, bro,
she's been as hesitant as possible to be about
that.
Action.
Bro, but nah, when it's Fennec Shand, bro, she
Whenever
don't hesitate.
I see the ops, I'm up in the damn score, yeah.
She says, if I
Mr. Rage.
it's Colton, it's straight up like you said.
Red.
She's like, yo, your life is expendable to me. She will not hesitate. That shit is. She takes that shit into her own hands.
If I see the ops, I'm upping the damn score.
You're right, Joe. You are right. But no, but by now, after she's been able to turn around and murk these cops, Hunter's made his way back around, and he fires on her speeder engine, making it fall from the sky a little bit. And as Omega falls, he's able to swoop down and catch her in time. He says, "Strap in, we're not done yet." And he yanks back on the brake, slams that shit, flies past Fennec Shand, and he throws that one explosive that the guy wouldn't buy earlier, and gets Fennec off their fucking back. She jumps out of the ship, watches them speed off. The thing explodes. We get that shot from the trailer that we saw of Fennec Shand, the only thing we knew Fennec Shand was going to be in here for, and there it was. And, Fennec limps from that explosion, watching them speed off.
They only had that explosive because of the Empire. Because that guy wouldn't deal, wouldn't. He had a reputable business because of the Empire.
Well, there's also the fact that I like little details like this, like that. The merchant denied them that sale, and also earlier in the episode, Wrecker tried to persuade Hunter to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
Wrecker earlier in the episode was like, you don't need to bring that. We need firepower. And Hunter's like, well, what we fucking need is credits.
What we fucking need is food.
Yeah, he's like, we don't need no fucking bomb. Turns out he needed the bomb. And
what he didn't need was his friend, because he sold his friend.
What he didn't need was food. But We cut to Wrecker, who is still running to the ship, and he complains that he's missing all the action as the cops rush past him. Did you guys hear me? I cut out earlier, but did you guys hear me when I was talking about how it's funny that this is what they did for the rest of Wrecker's storyline? They were like, we can't think of another thing to do with him, so the rest of the episode, he's running back to the ship. And because he's big, he's really slow.
That's fair. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I didn't think about that. And he was just really running. Yeah.
My man was just a victim, bro, of just like, hey, we got to give runtime somewhere. So, like, yo, Wrecker, your storyline, it's going to be pretty limited this episode. They did him dirty. They got my man out here running like
character that they do dirty continuously. It is Wrecker in terms of screen time.
Well, yeah, they can just fall back on making him like the dumb, like just like the Shaggy. They can make him the Shaggy of the show. They can make him the.
That's a phenomenal analogy. The Shaggy of the show.
Yeah, and like it sucks, but it's also works every time.
Every time.
Yeah,
it always works.
Well, think about how like methodical Hunter is, and then think about like how like Echo is just kind of like monotone, like more synthezoid than anything, and then like all these dudes are just kind of like nerdy outside of that, and Hunter is like kind of like a grizzled like my man's been through that, but you know, still, it's just funny that Wrecker just gets to be like this Shaggy dude, just.
He's always bringing the comedic relief.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just being the dumbed down, like, character. Like,
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I see it for sure. But, back at the ship, the droids declare the ship repaired. And Echo passes the workers back onto their protocol droid, and they go on their merry way. We get that last shot, a classic shot of a group of droids that we've seen millions of times before, where we get that angle of them all being like, yeah, we did our thing. Time to go. You see it in the Clone Wars a million fucking times, especially in that last arc where Ahsoka escapes Order 66 with the help of droids to save Rex. Like it's a very very Star Wars thing, and I love it. But Hunter and Omega arrive back to the ship. Wrecker follows, short of breath, but not far behind. And then the little piece of shit who ratted on them is like, he comes screaming. He's like, "No, you can't leave. She hasn't paid me yet. No, please." And, they take off as the bitch boy whines, and they find themselves back in space again. Sweet, sweet flight. And Hunter tells the team that she has to be a bounty hunter. And Omega isn't familiar with the term. She's like, what the fuck is that? And they explain it to her. She's somebody who was paid to look for targets. And Tech's like, turns out, kid, looks like you were that target. And that's a terrible thing to tell a child.
Can we back it up real quick? There's a part of the episode that seemed kind of sus to me. And it was that guy who owned that like dock or whatever.
Yeah.
The landing area. Like Fennec Shand said, like, don't let them leave. And he looked at that droid all suspicious, like he was going to do something with the droid and that they were fixing the ship. Like maybe he was going to take a part of the ship that would make him not fly. Like he gave like a suspicious looking look to something, and then it ended up like, oh nope, he didn't do anything. Like he just let him leave, like straight up.
I didn't catch that. That's interesting. It wouldn't surprise me if that's something they kind of added into the story, but then we're like, that's too similar to the Mandalorian. Like potentially,
I know exactly.
Put a tracker on their ship. Like maybe that's a storyline they cut out. That this guy put a tracker on the ship, but then they're like, oh shit, we literally did that in Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah,
so, Joseph, I know exactly what look you're talking about, and I noticed it too and thought, oh, I wonder what they're going to do. And they didn't do anything. I kind of just chalked it up to, well, the guy that, the dude that was in charge there that gave the look, he seems like he's kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
And probably was like, I'm going to do something, and then saw Wrecker staying with the ship the entire time. He was like, all right, I guess I'm just going to chill here. Guess I'm not going to do anything because I don't want to get my ass beat.
True. Yeah, but Wrecker chimes in after they've said that Omega was probably the target. He's like, hey, let's stop scaring the child. How about it? And Hunter says that they must figure out who she is and who hired her. But back on Pantora, Fennec meets with the little fuckboy, and she pays him his money, asks if they ever come back, let her know. And Fennec gets on her comm and says the target got away, but she'll find her. Fennec looks to the stars, and we fade to black. So what we've settled on, it seems like, is that she's talking to the Kaminoans.
Yeah.
The fact that they did not show who she's talking about tells me it very well could not be. The Kaminoans have been a part of this story. It would make sense that if they had placed the bounty, they would have expressly said the Kaminoans have placed a bounty on Omega. So the speculation Joe put out earlier, Palpatine is somehow involved, but it sounded like your speculation required the Kaminoans to be in charge of this.
Not really.
Like the Kaminoans put the bounty out on her because they owe her to Palpatine.
Maybe. I mean, or Fennec could be talking to, like, I don't know, like a...
I kind of took it as
Boba,
she was
or like
talking to like
Palpatine directly.
I kind of took it as she was talking to whoever, like, she got, like, because you know how whenever they send bounties out, they're sending it out to a bunch of people, and she could have been sending it out to whoever her guy was that, like, collected bounties for her and told
Like the
them.
Grief Karga of...
Yeah, like her Grief Karga. I couldn't remember his name.
Okay, that's fair.
That's kind of who I was thinking she was talking to, because I kind of doubt, regardless, that she would be talking directly to.
I think the
like
reason
a
they didn't
Kaminoans
show
or
it is
whoever
just
else.
it didn't matter. Like, you got
Yeah.
the idea. Like, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that could be something more, though. Maybe it could be like, this is a suspicious, this is a seed that they're planting.
Maybe it's just like Fennec Shand just keeps like a captain's log of everything she does, and she says,
Is Dooku still alive right now?
Day 748. The
Is
target
who?
escaped.
Is Dooku alive still?
Dooku would have died like a few weeks earlier.
Yeah, so he's dead. So
Yeah.
it couldn't have been Dooku. Can't be Grievous. Grievous is dead.
Yeah.
Is he though?
It could be. Yeah, he's dead.
Is
Because
he?
they said Obi-Wan.
No,
They
if there was anybody that they like tried to bring back at this point in time, Grievous would be one of the most shocking, which is interesting.
There's
'cause
no
he's
way.
so clearly collapsed dead.
Okay, but Joseph, let me ask you this: if Grievous is dead, then how is there a video of him diving into the water after Kylo's
Oh
lightsaber?
my! Shut up! Shut up! Don't get out of here! Get out of here! This is a reputable show.
Answer me that.
After the shit you've thrown out in the past, this is a reputable
Hey.
show.
Or
At
the
least
shit that
it's
we
all
spent,
related to the
or the
show
shit
and not
we
just
spent-
memes.
fucking like 30 minutes talking about during one of the Patreon episodes.
It was cum. It was cum.
We don't have to
talked
talk about
cum.
it. We don't got to talk about it.
We don't want to talk about it here, Kyler. Don't go snitching.
Nah, I had to. That was a good.
We don't
moment.
got to talk about it. All right.
That was a funny conversation. That's
No,
gonna
but
make
like, if
people
you
buy
are
the
dead
Patreon.
ass looking for extra Patreon content, you get a lot more of us talking about random shit. It's not just Star Wars at that point.
No, but like it's
for
a lot of
example,
shit.
you
No,
get-
like it's
you
a
get-
lot.
You get a segment in the Patreon in which I pose the question: are there any words that aren't disgusting that mean semen? Like, and see right there, I was gathering the word that would be the least offensive.
Yeah, you were trying to think. See, I was doing the opposite. I was thinking, what is the funniest one that I can remember off the top of my head?
I think if you're gonna try, like, okay,
You ready?
Just spit one thing out about this.
You ready?
I mean, like,
I
Colton,
have,
I think
have
you've
the
done
answer.
it. No, Joseph, stop.
I have
think
the
no,
answer.
Joseph, let me get it out, okay?
Oh God.
Okay.
Colton, I think you did the best you could because, like, I think when in doubt, you got to go like scientific. You got to just go for like what would a medical professional call it? You know what I mean? I feel like if you go the safe route, that's as good as you're gonna get. Are you going to be uncomfortable? Yes, but like just understand that like you've done the best you can.
Well, here's also the thing. I want to warn people that is absolutely the wildest topic of discussion you will find on Patreon. There's nothing that is more out there than that, I would say.
Okay,
I don't know.
Yet.
I don't know. Yeah, there's the possibility for it.
I don't doubt that we can build.
But I
that.
would say the least, provocative way of saying "come" is only if you're named Joe and it's called Jogurt. I call it my Jogurt.
No, I hate that.
We're gonna end
So-
the episode on that note.
That may be the worst thing I've ever heard.
It's my Jogurt. Baby.
But nah, let's wrap the show up and we'll dive into the Patreon exclusive. This was the Penny Bloom podcast. This was the Bad Batch bitches. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph.
Thank you very
George.
much for
Thank you
having
very
me.
much.
And if this is how I get sued, you owe me at least, I don't know, a couple drinks, I'd say.
At least, if we get sued. Could you prove it in a court of law? We are also joined by Miles motherfucking Buttress. Thank you very much.
Hey, anytime, man. I'm always down to talk.
Would you be down to talk next week even?
Ooh.
Probably, yeah. I think I can fit that into my schedule.
You guys are hearing that a lot this semester. We were also joined by KBZ, Kyler Barnett. Thank you so much, homie.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, again, this was the Penny Bloom podcast. If you want an extra, I'd say, hour of content at least from this episode, go to patreon.com/CoroBloom, where we have a 45-minute intro before the Bad Batch content even actually starts. We got some Star Wars talk. You'll get plenty of Star Wars talk there. But there's so much more content on patreon.com/CoroBloom. We've also got exclusive episodes from earlier episodes of the Bad Batch. Episode 1, 2, 3. You've got like a collective 4 hours of extra content there, at least so far. And only more to come. So go subscribe, patreon.com/CoroBloom. Go to Twitter and follow @PennyBloomPod, on Instagram @PennyBloomPodcast. Fuck boys, I'm ready for Bad Batch episode 5. I'm ready for Loki, which will be starting in a couple weeks. Hype about that. That's not too far off. Remember, peace, love, and bloom. And always praise Keanu Reeves.